Coming up next, we'll tell you how to cope with career regret, and we'll look at the negative power of approval. We'll take your calls and your chats. It all starts right now. Coming to you live from Ramsey Studios in Nashville, I am Ken, and you are joining a conversation about who you are, what you were created to do, where you can do it, and how you can get there. That's right. It's all about you, your purpose, your contribution. Now, we look at this through the lens of work. We know that you are multidimensional people, right? You fill more roles in this world than just your work role, but we are focused on your work because that is a huge part of your meaning and your contribution. We believe you were created to work. In other words, created to contribute a result that is to the benefit of others. So this show is not about getting rich and selfish ambition. I have no problem with people who are rich. I am a capitalist. But this is about meaning. The fact that we all long to contribute, to create something, to make something on some form. And we believe that when you figure out that unique role in your work that you were created to fill, that you experience something greater than success. Success will come, but you experience significance. And that's why we're here for you. 844-747-2577, 844-747-2577. If you're new to the program, this is a live show right here on YouTube. Now, some of you are watching this later. So if it's 12 Eastern, 11 Central, we're live. And you can call in right now. Madison is standing by. We have a few phone lines open. And if you're watching the show and I want to fire a chat question, go ahead and do that now or as you are watching. We'll try to get to those live here in a few moments. But you are one phone call away. We've had many people come into the chat room and they've been live, and I'll say, I can't answer that. There's not enough details. Call. And they call and they get clarity right now. So it's your show. What do you want to do with it? So let's talk about career regret. We get a lot of these calls. And the idea here is that I'm not where I want to be because I made this decision or that decision, and I'm looking back and I really, really regret. I'm ashamed almost that I'm not where I want to be. And boy, do I understand that. I'll never forget lying awake at night, 34, 35, almost every night, staring at the ceiling, dealing with my regret. I've wasted time. I'm a waste. Whew, it's powerful stuff. It can really, really build up on your heart and put you down in a pit of self-pity. So how do you avoid that, or how do you climb out of that pit? I'm going to give you 3 simple steps to help you cope with the career regret. Number 1, you need to reflect. Now, instead of regretting, let's do some reflecting. So don't sit there and commiserate about all the things that are negative now. We're going to go back and we're going to reflect on the decisions, the mile markers, the points where we made a decision that we would remake. We would make a different decision. And as a result of that decision or lack of a decision, it determined our current position. So we want to reflect. We want to go back and we want to learn. Listen, don't be afraid of the pain of unpacking failure. That's how we learn. Let's reflect on it. What did I do wrong? What did I do right? What would I do differently? What would I change? Who do I need to be aware of? Who do I need to be around? Whatever it is, reflect. That's step 1. Step 2 is refocus. Now, once we've reflected and we've got some helpful information, okay, I've essentially cracked open my present by looking back to what got me there. And so I see all of the information and I've reflected. I've got some lessons here. I've got some new objectives here. All right. So what we do is now we refocus. We're refocusing. We're not worried about the past. We're not ashamed of our past. We're not held down by our past. We don't think about it anymore. We go, boy, that is in the past. I am focusing forward. That's what we do. And then as you begin to focus forward, so now we get our brain focusing forward. Our focus is on a better future. Now we have to, step 3, redirect our actions. See, what we focus on is what we act on. You've heard me say that over and over and over on this program, and it's really true. So now that we've refocused and we are seeing new possibilities, we must act to be able to achieve those possibilities. What must be true for me to have this desired future? That is the 3rd step of redirecting. So reflect, refocus, and redirect. That will help you come out of the pit of self-pity and focus on a better future. 844-747-2577 is the number, 844-747-2577. Let's go to College Station, Texas, one of the best places in America to watch a football game. CJ is there. CJ, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hi, Ken. Thanks for taking my call.
You bet. What's up?
I'm wanting to I'm trying to avoid career regret myself.
Good.
I am a third-year PhD student, kind of been headed towards the professor route, and I know that I am passionate about and I'm good at my area of study, which is mathematics, and I love teaching. But I'm nervous about the research aspect of the career options ahead of me. Mm-hmm. Admittedly, like when I'm doing research and it's going well, I do enjoy it. It's fun. But a lot of the times I find myself kind of dreading it, mm-hmm. and even doing some unusual things sometimes to try to avoid it.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. Now, give me an example. I understand what you're saying, but be more specific of you doing research for your career. Are you talking about research for all of the different places where you could be a math teacher or math professor, and you just kind of get all hung up on that? You're trying to avoid that? Is that what you mean by research?
Yeah, so it seems like a lot of the options for being a math professor involves research. You're expected to publish in journals. And I do have one publication already, and so it's developing new mathematics for me. And it's hard, and I understand that, and that's part of it. That's why I'm doing a PhD, is to kind of learn how to become a researcher. But I really am passionate about the teaching. So I'm
okay. Great. So yeah. Who says? Okay. So this is interesting. I'm really glad you called. I think you've become a prisoner of other people's expectations, or maybe a prisoner of the data. And here's what I mean. Mm-hmm. Just because you have a PhD doesn't mean you have to do what everybody else or what most people with a math PhD do. Who says you can't just be a great professor or a great teacher? Who says you have to go into a situation where there's pressure on you to do research and publish papers? What if you just want to teach mathematics and teach it like nobody else has taught it before?
Right. And I've had very good, reactions when I have taught courses,
right? But
or in one-on-one situations.
But you didn't answer my question, but you amened it. You're like, right. But my point is CJ, who says you have to go that route? What if you? So just take me to a place where you don't have to have pressure to write a paper. Give me a position.
There are positions like that.
I know there are. I mean, here's my point. If you want to teach math to 6th graders at a public school, or 9th graders at a private school, or seniors at a charter school, I guess my point is, if you love teaching math and instructing math and all of the things that come with that, life lessons, critical thinking, blah, 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 then go do that. Just because you got the PhD doesn't mean you have to go to higher ed and be in a situation where you're spending most of your time researching and writing papers, and your soul is longing to get in front of students and teach. So you get to choose. There is nobody forcing you to use the PhD in a way that you don't want to.
That's great. Thank you so much.
You bet, dude. Do what makes your heart sing. And the great news is, CJ, you know what makes your heart sing. So really, don't feel any guilt about, well, I got this PhD and I'm not using it. Well, that's a bunch of garbage. Right. That's a bunch of garbage. You're not using it the way a lot of people use a math PhD, but who freaking cares? The answer is you've been caring about what other people will say.
Very true.
And so I'm telling you, the voice that you need to be listening to is the voice that says, CJ, go teach math to young people and teach them how to think. So I'm going to give you a weird, I don't think it's weird. You might think it's weird. Okay. Cause you're a young guy, but I'm going to give you a homework assignment and it involves watching a movie. You ready?
Sure.
I want you to watch Dead Poet Society this week, preferably tonight. Okay. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Good.
I've heard of it.
It's with one of my favorite actors of all time, Robin Williams.
Yeah.
Who is an absolute genius. And Dead Poet Society, it's a wonderful movie, but I want you to watch it. And I want you to see if you can make a connection to his character, Professor Keating. Okay?
Will do.
All right, my man. Now listen, I really want you to watch it tonight, coming off of our conversation right now. But I'm not going to give you any other insights. I'm not going to try to make any. I want you to feel that movie, but I want you to really see if the conversation we had today and watching that movie and his character specifically, if that really crystallizes your heart. Okay.
If that resonates with me. Hey, movie is great homework assignment. Thank you.
I know. Listen, get yourself a bag of popcorn while you're at it. Now, here's what I want you to do.
Right.
Here's what I want you to do. Would you be willing to email the show, ask@kencoleman.com, after you watch the movie and tell me what it did for you?
Yeah.
All right. And in doing so, you're giving me permission to tell the audience, but I want to give them an update.
Thank you.
I'm really excited to see what happens. We'll see if my experiment works, Joe. And CJ, thank you for being open to my interesting homework assignment. All right, Liz is up next in Vallejo. Vallejo? Okay, I tried. Let's see what Liz says. I always try to pronounce these cities. It's kind of a fun challenge, folks. She's on the line 3. There she is. Liz, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, Ken. You got it right the second time. It's Vallejo.
Vallejo. Okay, very good. All right. Well, that was Madison in my ear. She bailed me out.
Thanks, Madison.
Yes. How can I help today, Liz?
I'm dealing with a lot of self-doubt. I have kind of a 3-part question for you.
Okay, great. I love it. Part one. Part one is what?
Okay, I'm contemplating pivoting my career path, and part 1 is, do I put all my eggs in one basket? Part 2 is, am I stupid to stop trying to get better at what I have in front of me? And part 3 is, I think I have found my sweet spot in a job that I want to apply for. Everything's on a hiring freeze right now. But
right.
I feel like when I interview, I just get so nervous, like I am right now.
Okay.
So nervous.
Okay. So here, let's do this. So when we're nervous, okay, what we have to do is you have to reset our brain. Okay. So let's have a little fun with this. All right. This is going to be fun. What are you nervous about? Tell me your nervousness about talking to me live on the air. What are you nervous about? Say it.
Maybe that I'll choke. I don't know.
Okay, great. Well, guess what? So far, you've not choked, and now the hardest part's over. Your first minute's the hardest part, and you laid out your 3-part question beautifully. You made sense. You didn't jarble your words. You don't sound like you're a cat on a hot tin roof. So, way to go! No more nerves.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
See what we do? What do? We refocus. What's driving the anxiety? Oh gosh, I'm going to sound silly or whatever. Ken's going to think I'm, and I'm not going to beat up on you. You know that, don't you? You've listened to enough of the program to know I'm for you. Yes or no?
Absolutely.
All right. Then. Like you are the most important person on the planet right now because that's who I'm talking to. And I was put on this planet to talk to you. So you get how important this conversation is. So get over it. We're good. You're great. All right, now back to question number 3, because you really didn't finish the question. You just talked about how nervous you get in interviews. So what's that third question?
Well, I get a lot of fear, and I just I've been working, as a self-employed person for so long that when I go into a workplace, I just see all these people who are like dressed to perfection and just so good at their jobs. I compare myself to them, and I worry that I'm not good enough. I don't have the accreditation.
Interesting. Let me ask you this. Have you been successful at working for yourself?
Yes.
How many of those people? Well, okay, but the answer is yes, you have been. You've been able to sustain yourself working for yourself. Do you know how many people actually can do that? All those fancy dressed people with all their slick little college degrees, how many of them could actually do what you've done as an entrepreneur? It's way less than you think. So you've got to get over this. You've got to get over this. I don't have what it takes. I don't have it. Because that's a bunch of garbage. That's just you allowing your natural insecurity. By the way, we all have it. But you're just allowing your brain to go focus on the wrong things. And the fact of the matter is you've identified what your sweet spot job is, which is what? Tell me.
Working as a designer.
What kind of design?
Well, I have been a designer and builder of custom furniture and cabinetry for the last 13 years, and now I'm thinking about I'm wanting to pivot into a design role because
interior design or furniture design?
Well, it's interior design, but it's specifically like cabinetry design.
Right. And you've identified a position at a cabinet company locally?
Yes.
Okay, let's have some fun with this. How many years have you been doing that kind of work? Tell us again. You just said it.
It's 13 years.
13 years. Liz, are you qualified?
I think so.
Liz, I do not like that answer, but because I'm a very nice person, I'm going to ask it again, and I want you to give the right answer this time. Liz, are you overqualified?
Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Come on, Liz. 13 years. All right, Liz. And I want confident Liz, not delusional Liz, not insecure Liz. I want confident Liz to answer the next question. Liz, are you good at what it takes to do this job you've identified?
Yeah.
Yeah, there we go. So okay. I'm not even sure I need to address 1 and 2, but we'll touch on them quickly. When you say all your eggs in one basket, do you mean like I'm going after this job, this cabinet job, design job?
There's one specific company that I have in my sights. It's all I care about. It's all I think about as an alternative to being self-employed.
All right, but listen, that's not putting all your eggs in one basket. That's called really laser focused. So be laser focused on that. And if it doesn't work out, we don't quit. We don't go, well, that must not have been for me. I'm going to take my toys and go home. That would be putting all your eggs in one basket. Do you see the difference?
Yeah. Definitely.
But I love the focus on this one gig. Go after with everything you got. Guess what? If you don't get it, it wasn't right. May not have been the right time. But you know what you want to do with your life and why you want to do it. So no, that is not the case. And am I stupid for trying to get better? What did that mean? That's what you asked me.
Well, I'm self-employed. I've been just so stubborn and driven to get better at what I do, but I'm just realizing that, I have some business debt. My business carries a little debt. My personal credit card has some debt, and I started, the baby steps with Dave Ramsey. Good. And I'm just realizing that maybe this isn't serving me. I'm really good at, the work itself, working with the clients, but I honestly feel like when it comes to money and scheduling and honestly building furniture, designing it, doing everything, it keeps you so busy that you end up not charging for every minute of your time, and that really gets me into trouble. And I'm also I'm not very entrepreneurial.
That's great.
I don't really.
So you're aware. You're self-aware. You're self-aware. So here's the deal. I think the way you're asking it is it just needs to be a little tweak. The reason you want to go do what you're doing for yourself or somebody else is because I'm guessing you've identified you can make more money doing something you love and stay in that sweet spot, not have to worry about running the business and the bills and the paperwork and the invoicing and all the stuff that you're just not naturally gifted at. And that's why you want to do it. And so you can get out of debt and not have all this other pressure. Is that why?
Yeah.
So
also expand my skill set, like pivoting into a role where I'm learning a little bit more.
I love that. But I would tell you didn't make any mistakes by becoming a master craftsman. I mean, what you're describing to me is what a master craftsman does. In fact, you're one of the few people that I talk to that really understands what that really means. We have lost with the age of technology and about speed and efficiency. The master craftsman's not somebody we run into every day. Am I right, Liz?
Oh, it's true. Definitely.
So it's never a bad thing for you to master your craft, but you are making a decision to expand your skill set and put yourself in a better environment where entrepreneurism is not for you. You figured it out. There's nothing wrong with that. There's no shame in that. So you're going to go work for somebody else. You're going to make more money, acquire more skills, and be happier. That's a great decision, Liz.
Okay. It's hard not to feel like a quitter, like I failed.
Well, wait a second. Do you think successful people have ever quit at anything?
No,
you're wrong. They did. They quit a lot of things.
Of course.
Of course they quit.
What's not working.
Yeah.
So why is it so hard to quit? Why am I so stubborn?
That's a really good question.
I can do it. This year is going to be the year.
Well, I think you nailed it. I think there's a sense of shame that if you quit, that you failed. And I think that has a personal implication. I think you might be a little bit worried about what other people say too. It's got to be one of those things. It doesn't have to be all, but it's one of those things. I think you told us why it's so hard. It feels like I put 13 years into this. I've worked my fingers to the bone, literally. And I'm going to walk away.
Burnout. Yeah.
I love this conversation.
And burnt out.
I don't believe that burnout's a thing. I think it's a feeling. I think you've got built up on the heart. I think you're overwhelmed being a one-woman gang, and you're beginning to lose some of the joy of it because some of the yuck, and you need less yuck and more passion. And I think you've identified it. So good for you. I hung out with you a little bit longer because I love your vulnerability. I love how you owned your nerves, and I love that you're digging into why is it so hard, Ken? And the reason it's hard is because you feel like you're a personal failure if you change gears professionally, and that couldn't be any further from the truth. That's what's really going on.
Well, thank you.
You bet. And you are not a failure. You're not going to be a failure. And watch what happens in the days and months and years ahead. Oh, it's so fun. My goodness, I love what I do, Joe. That's what it's about right there. And nobody's doing that I know of. This is your show. I believe that I am, or at least I'm trying to be 3 parts for you folks in one phone call. A coach, a counselor, and a cheerleader. And if you don't have anybody else in your life that'll do that for you, I will. Call me. To the chat room we go. Outdoors Man writes in, can past failures cause me to not be clear about what my dream job is? Yes. Yes. Yes, 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 yes. Because here's what happens. Our past failures become a fog, if you will, or a filter, a blind, that blind us, because here's what happens. Let's just do a weird eye trick here. We got the camera. If I'm looking this way, everybody can see I'm looking forward. I'm looking straight ahead. I'm looking to what's in front of me, the future. You see the analogy. Okay. But what happens with failure, watch, I'm looking here. I'm looking forward. Now I'm looking over here. My head, still the same. My eyes are over here. What am I doing? I'm looking back. I'm looking at failures. It's all I'm focused on. God, hey, that was so stupid. Oh, How in the world did I make that financial mistake? How in the world did I sign up in a partnership with that snake in the grass? How in the world did I come to the conclusion that I would enjoy that work? What was I thinking? Sound familiar, anybody? Look at my eyes, look over here. I'm all in the past. I'm all on failure. Stay on me on this camera because I'm teaching out of this. So when my eyes are here, I'm looking backward to failure. And the only thing I can see is what? Failure. So I can't even focus on, well, what are the possibilities? Now, we talked about this at the top of the program. If we look into failure and we filter it and we pull out what we need to learn, then we bring it back here with us and we say, okay, that is really valuable stuff that I learned from failures, and now I can focus forward. So yes, when I'm over here, I cannot see here. And so, yeah, when we focus on failures, it'll keep you so unclear. And so really, really, really think about calling the show. Go to kencoleman.com and download the free Career Clarity Worksheet. It's just going to walk you through the process that'll get you focused off of the past and onto the future. Two Gun Tommy writes in, I make $100K a year as a plumber. But 2 weeks out of every month, I'm on call 24/7. How do I know if being on call is worth it? Ooh, that's a really good question. And I think it comes down to this. You know what the money is, right? So you okay, I'm making X amount of dollars in this job. So whether that's salary plus overtime or whatever. But this on-call thing for 2 weeks disrupts you in a big way. What are the negatives to the disruption? You have to lay this out. What are the relationship negatives to being on call 24/7? What are the physical or emotional negatives for you personally? The relationships, I'm talking about how this may affect your family. And then the physical and emotional toll would be how it affects you. Okay? I think you got to list that out. And the reason I'm asking you to do that is because now when I assess the details of the results, what's kicked off in my life that's negative because of being on call, I look at that and I go, okay, now I weigh that against everything that's good in my life. And the job is obviously a big part of allowing that. But here's the key. If the answer is no, it's not worth continuing to do this, because now the question becomes, do I continue to do this kind of schedule? Do I keep this up? And if the answer is no, I don't keep this up, then the answer is obviously it's not worth it. So we look at, okay, now I'm going to shift to a better future, a desired future that does not require me to be on call, which creates all this negative. My guess is it's not worth it, which is the gist of your question. But that's the process I want people to be able to understand. We just weigh it, the pros and the cons. Essentially, and I focus on all the cons because I think the pros are really obvious, but you got to really weigh the cons and how it's affecting you. 844-747-2577. We'll get back to the phones shortly, but I want to teach real quick on the negative power of approval. We all have restrictors, things that just naturally hold us back. And I want to focus on one of the restrictors that sneaks up on us. And I don't think it's surprising to you that approval is something that can be very negative. The desire for approval. I think we all understand that. I don't think that's a shock to anybody. But the reason I say that it sneaks up on us is I'm looking at my own life that if I'm not careful, if I'm not paying attention to maybe some insecurities and some doubts and some fears, and then I go looking for approval to try to fill in those holes in my soul, what happens is that approval can turn into a really negative force where we look for approval instead of clarity. Because approval can, I think, masquerade as clarity. Oh, well, Let me see what Joe and Madison think. What do you guys think? Oh, yeah, we think it's great. And I'm still not sure, but they say they're sure. And if I'm still not sure, even though I've asked them if they're sure and they say they're sure, if I'm not careful, I can go, well, Joe's sure about it and Madison's sure about it. So I guess I should be sure about it. And again, that can be helpful at times. But if I always am relying on other people's approval to make decisions that I'm unclear, that can be dangerous. Here's the other thing. I'm clear on something and somebody doesn't give me their approval, and then all of a sudden I don't act on it. That's where approval can be negative as well. It can be a crutch, which was the first scenario, and then it can be a killer. It just kills great dreams, great ideas, great actions. You're clear. You know why? You know how? You know where? And somebody goes, I don't think that's a great decision. They don't show approval, and we're devastated. And do I understand this? I seek approval. I am a people pleaser. And I'm telling you something, affirmation is my ultimate love language. And I can't tell you how many times in life I have not acted on something that I should have acted on because I didn't get enough approval. Whew. I'm stepping on toes right now. Be careful. Be careful. Is approval wonderful? Yes. Is approval something normal for us to crave? Yes. But craving it is dangerous. And that's when it becomes negative. Don't crave it. If you get it, woohoo. But if you live your life on everybody else, approving every thought, every action, every decision that you make, can really be negative. And I'm talking about true approval. I'm not talking about your leader needing to approve and authority and all that. I'm talking about just, will people give you their blessing, their rubber stamp of, oh, you're so awesome. That's brilliant. I love it. That's so smart. If you're craving that, you are setting yourself up to be a tumbleweed. Now, Joe, I love Westerns. And old Western movies, there would almost always be some shot that would reveal the town and the empty street, and you would see what looks like a ball or a tangled sphere of hay,
or
right?
A bush.
Or bush blow across the street, right? And they would call that tumbleweed, right? It has no roots, and thus the wind of the plains blows it wherever it decides. This is what I'm talking about. If approval becomes the guiding premise of all your decision making, you will be like a tumbleweed. You will be blown all over the place, no roots, no direction that is discernible at all. So be careful about the negative power of approval. All right, one more call here. Let's squeeze this in here. Terry from Genesee, Idaho. All right, very nice. Terry, you're on the Ken Coleman Show. Hello, Terry. And going once, going twice, and we will try to get Terry back on. Sometimes that happens. So there you go. Let's see if we can go to, are we going back? Oh, we're trying it again. All right, here we go. Terry, you're on the Ken Coleman Show.
Hey, can you hear me now, Ken?
Yes, sir. Terry, good to have you.
We're having tech issues, I guess.
Don't worry about it.
You weren't gonna get to me. She said, "Oh, he's taking your call next," and then you did a lot of other stuff first. But glad that I'm on with you.
You're on, buddy. You're on. What's going on?
Oh, not too much. You got such a beautiful studio. I am a bit of a tech guy. I must admit, and when I look at your studio, you got a lot going on. It looks like a new MacBook. The mic's beautiful. What kind of mic y'all working with?
Oh, Joe, you got to jump in here. I don't know.
It's a Heil.
It's a Heil.
Oh, that's cool. That's a beautiful mic. You got a beautiful setup, beautiful camera. You got all of that.
I do. I have all the toys, thanks to Dave Ramsey. What's your question?
Dave Ramsey. My question is, I'm looking to start my own business, and I'm a little late in life now, and I'm curious if this is a feasible business for somebody like me to start.
What is the business?
In my position. So the business is basically, I call people and I talk about tech. So I'll call them and say like, "Oh, do you want to talk about tech?"
Okay. I mean, who are these people? How are you getting their number?
They're like, will be posted up like publicly or whatever, and then I'll call them and I'll sort of talk about tech with them or whatever and see like what they got going on. I'll talk about it with them, and then yeah. So
you're hoping to be essentially a technical consultant to help solve their problem that they're posting online about?
No, I don't want to solve any problems. I just want to talk about the tech. I'm not a problem solver. I just like to talk about tech.
Well, I don't think that's a viable business model. So if you're asking me,
why not?
Well, because you have to solve a problem. So customers pay you to solve a problem, okay? Or provide something that they want. So we'll break it down. So business is based on two things: a customer's desire for something. I want this. So Madison loves cool tennis shoes. She doesn't need any more tennis shoes, right, Madison? And we can agree on that. She doesn't need any more tennis shoes. Joe, what's something that you really like to buy just because you want it?
Nice pair of sunglasses.
Nice pair of sunglasses. He doesn't need any more sunglasses. Madison doesn't need any cool pair of shoes. But at some point, Joe and Madison will say, I'd like another pair of sunglasses. I'd like a pair of tennis shoes or something or whatever. Okay. So that's the want, the desire. Then there's the need, right? Okay. I need a new muffler. I need my car fixed. All right. That's not a want. That's a need. That's a problem. And so thus we have mechanics. Mechanics started businesses to solve customers' car problems. You going online and seeing public chat rooms, I guess, I don't even know where this is happening, and people are talking technology, and you want to start a business where you talk about technology, no one's paying you for anything. You're providing an opinion. So the best idea I have for him, Joe, is try local radio, do a technology program, and you go buy your way on for an hour like I did at WDUN. I could see him calling Bill Main going, hey, I want a show on technology. And Bill's going to go, well, we already got one. Or he's going to say, we don't have one. I'm interested. Tell me more about it. And then you make your case, and then Bill goes, by the way, that's going to cost you X amount of dollars per hour, right? Okay. So then you would decide if, Terry, you would say, all right, great, I'm in. And the way you would make money on the show would be selling sponsors. And you could talk technology for an hour, take people's calls and talk technology. But you don't have a business idea right now. You're a really nice guy and you gave me nice compliments, but nobody is going to pay you to talk to them about technology. Just doesn't happen. Unless you are a public speaker, you write books, then you could get paid to talk. So I guess your radio show, publishing books, papers, that's the only way you're going to get paid doing this. So if I were you, I'd stay in the technology area and then hang out with lots of friends who like to talk technology. All right. My time is almost up. But before I let you go, you matter and you do have what it takes. Thank you so much for joining us. Until next time, this is the Ken Coleman Show. Press on.